As a psychiatrist, I often will treat people that are suffering from mental health problems, and I'll usually treat them through a combination of medications and therapy. Many people complain that mental health disease is one of the worst illnesses that one can experience because it can often go unnoticed for a long period of time. It can be difficult to detect like many other diseases, which can be detected easier like through blood tests or x-rays. The Surgeon General last week came out with an article that can be read through the New York Times in which he was giving his opinion that there should be warning labels for kids and their social media usage. He also suggested that mental health is in a crisis for which social media use could be a culprit. Some of the evidence he used to support this is that kids who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media may have increased risk of mental health problems and may have more internalizing problems. Internalizing problems which consist of blaming oneself or maybe low self-esteem, or it could be problems with one's identity. The Surgeon General believes that a warning label would bring more people to be aware of this problem and help with change. And he cites that tobacco use used to be prevalent in society, but after a warning label and that talks about the risks of tobacco use, including increased risk of cancers and cardiovascular disease and lung disease, that warning label helped people's tobacco use to lessen and helped the health of the people across the nation. However, the support that social media has just a harmful effect, like something that is cancerous, is a bit far-fetched. Data suggests that social media is harmful has not really been conclusive. There are some positive effects of social media that can help people with mental health. For example, social media can be a place that is a source of inspirational stories where something encouraging or motivating can be seen. Also, social media can help mental health crisis at times, as people who are suicidal will sometimes post it on their social media platform. This can allow others to see it and be able to intervene by calling like 911, who can then intervene and meet with the person and act accordingly. So I'm not convinced that social media needs to be banned. Certainly there should be limits on it, just like there should be limits on how much one eats, how much one sleeps, or doing almost anything in their life. Also, it seems like the Surgeon General could be coming from a paternalistic mindset. For example, in medicine, there's this ethical dilemma that doctors can be in sometimes, where they may take on the role of a parent thinking that they know what is best for their patients. I think in the Surgeon General's case, he mentioned in the article that he has a 6 and 7-year-old children who don't have social media access now, but may have it soon. And it seems there could be more of a protective nature he has on his kids' development than how much at this point is actually based on scientific data that warning labels need to be placed for social media. But I think the more important perspective that there needs to be a mindful consumption of what is in our environments and what one puts in our senses. For example, Romans chapter 12 verse 2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." We need to use our minds for good. If we keep our thoughts and minds on something that is godly, we're more likely going to become godly. If we put our thoughts and minds on things that are useless or vain, we're more likely to be that way ourselves. Another perspective is from Philippians chapter 4 verse 8. "Whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things of good report, if there is any virtue and if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things." So it's good to think about things that are holy, pure, lovely. I think the problem with social media is many times they can have violence, cursing, mistreatment of others, and if people watch that, that can affect their thoughts, it can affect their actions, and lead to their behaviors as well. Some other benefits, though, of social media is that it can help people have meaningful connections that they wouldn't have elsewhere. For example, it can create a source of community that can be supportive and healthy to some extent. Social media can also provide access to information, but some cons is that this information they have access to might not be accurate. It could be misinformation. People can be bullied through social media. They can be comparing themselves to others. So in conclusion, I can't say I have the answer to whether or not this is a problem or to what extent. And I think the Surgeon General feels somewhat similar, but there does seem to be a consensus that you need to limit the social media use. I think we can all agree that there should be limits placed on it, whether it's on what people view or how much they view. That could be a little bit difficult to access, but whatever we can do, we want to make sure we do it for God's glory and for His goodness and for the betterment of others as well as ourselves.